Ever get that feeling like online ads are reading your mind? Like, how do they know? I was just looking at unicycles. It's a little creepy, right? Well, today we're going deep on online advertising and a problem that's way more common than you think: click fraud. We've got research papers, news articles, even some firsthand accounts to help us really get into this whole world of digital deception. Ready to explore the underbelly of the internet with me?
Absolutely. It's fascinating because clicking on an ad seems harmless, right? But the reality is way more complicated than that. And we're not talking about accidental clicks either. Click fraud is totally deliberate. It's done on purpose and often with bad intentions.
Okay, so we're talking more than just wasted ad money. What's the point of all this digital trickery?
Well, think about it. Click fraud can make a lot of money for the people doing it. Imagine making a bunch of fake websites. Then you get tons of fake clicks to get ad money. That's just one way. But it can get even crazier. Some people use click fraud to mess with their competitors. They try to drain their advertising budgets or even manipulate data to get an unfair advantage.
Sounds like a digital Wild West out there. Businesses battling it out in the shadows. So who are the players in this click fraud game?
It's a whole mix of characters. You've got techie people who create bots to do the clicking automatically. Then you've got organized groups running click farms, literally rooms full of people getting paid to click on ads all day.
Click farms. I thought those were just a myth. They're real.
Oh yeah, they're very real.
Yeah.
And they're getting more advanced all the time. There was a case a few years ago in Southeast Asia where a click farm was busted. They had over 10,000 SIM cards to generate fake clicks from phones. It's crazy how big these operations are.
Wow, that's insane. What about the bots? Are we talking simple scripts or are these things getting smarter?
Bot technology is super advanced now. You see bots that act like real people. They scroll pages, pause at ads, even move the mouse around randomly to avoid detection. It's like a digital arms race. Both
Wow.
sides are always trying to outsmart each other. They can even steal your cookies to make it look like they're real users with a browsing history.
That's seriously sneaky. So let's break down the different click fraud schemes these digital bandits are using. What's the first one we're looking at?
One of the most common and probably the most devious is competitor click fraud. It's basically corporate sabotage, but online. Businesses or people pretending to be competitors click on their rivals' ads to drain their budgets and get ahead. They're not just trying to win, they're trying to make their opponents lose.
Like a digital kneecapping. Ouch. What other shady tactics are they using?
Well, we've already talked about click farms where it's just tons of people clicking away.
Yeah.
It's a brute force approach, but it works. These farms are often in countries with low wages, so it's profitable, even if it's unethical. The ethics of it all are definitely something to think about.
Yeah, there are definitely some ethical questions there. What about the bots? How are they involved in the different types of click fraud?
Automated bots are often used in what's called bot fraud. They're programmed to click on ads without any real purpose. They often target specific demographics or interests to make the clicks seem more legitimate. They work 20/47 and can easily rack up thousands of fake clicks, making them a major player in the world of clicks fraud.
So you've got humans clicking away in these farms and you've got these super smart bots working all the time. Is there any way to stop them?
There are ways, but it's a constant battle. But before we get into how to detect and prevent it, there's one more type of click fraud we need to talk about: ad network fraud.
Ad network fraud, what's that all about?
This is where the fraudsters get really sophisticated. They create whole fake websites or apps just to host ads. These sites generate artificial traffic, often through bots or click farms, to make it look like people are seeing and clicking on the ads. They trick advertisers into paying for traffic that never really existed. It's like a mirage in the digital world.
Like a fake village but online. That's wild, but why go through all that trouble? What's the real impact of click fraud?
The impact is huge. It's way more than just wasted ad money.
Hmm.
Click fraud can seriously hurt businesses, distort data, and undermine the whole online advertising ecosystem. But let's save that discussion for later because the consequences of this are worth exploring in detail.
So we know who's doing it and how they're doing it, but now I'm really curious about the why. What's the real damage from all this digital trickery?
Well, like I said earlier, the impact of click fraud is massive, and it can be really bad. Let's start with the most obvious one: financial loss. Every time someone clicks on an ad fraudulently, advertisers are basically just throwing money away.
Yeah, I bet that's a nightmare for businesses, especially smaller ones that don't have a lot of money to spend.
Get it? Think about a small business owner. They've put everything into building their company. They decide to try online advertising to get new customers. But they don't know their ads are being targeted by these click fraudsters. All that money they're spending isn't reaching real people. It's going straight to the scammers. It can be really discouraging, and sometimes it can even shut them down.
That's awful. It's like being robbed, but online.
It really is. And the worst part is a lot of businesses don't even realize it's happening. Click fraud can be hard to spot, especially if you don't know a lot about online advertising.
So it's not just about the money. What are some of the other effects of click fraud that people might not realize?
One of the sneakiest things is data distortion. Click fraud makes it almost impossible to know how well your advertising campaigns are actually doing. Imagine you're running an ad campaign and it looks like it's going great. Lots of clicks, lots of conversions. You think you've hit the jackpot, but actually those numbers are all messed up because of the fake clicks. You're making decisions based on bad data, which can lead to wasted resources and missed opportunities.
It's like trying to use a broken compass. You think you're going the right way, but you're totally lost.
Exactly. And it's not just about wasted ad money. It's about wasted time, wasted effort, and missing chances to connect with real customers. Click fraud can even hurt a company's reputation. If people think a business is doing shady stuff online, it can make people not trust them and make it harder to get real customers.
It sounds like click fraud can have a domino effect. It impacts everything from a business's money to its credibility. It's kind of a bleak picture. Is there any hope for businesses trying to advertise online? Are there ways to fight back against this?
There is hope. It's a constant fight. But the good news is there are ways to help businesses detect and prevent click fraud. Think of it like an arms race between the fraudsters and the people trying to protect online advertising.
Okay, that's good to hear. So what are some of the weapons in this digital battle?
One of the most powerful tools is click fraud detection software. Platforms like Google Ads use really smart algorithms to look at user behavior and find suspicious activity. They look for things like way too many clicks from one place, repetitive clicks from the same user, or clicks that don't lead to anything on the landing page. These systems are like digital detectives, always looking for signs of trouble.
So it's like having a bodyguard for your ads. What other techniques are there to stop these click fraudsters?
Another good strategy is IP blocking. This means finding and blocking IP addresses, or whole regions that are known for click fraud. It's a way to stop fraudulent clicks before they even get to your ads.
So it's like putting up a wall to keep the bad guys out. But what about those really smart bots we talked about earlier? Can IP blocking stop them?
IP blocking can work against simpler bots, but the really advanced ones can use things like VPNs to hide where they are. That's why it's important to use multiple layers protection against click fraud.
It's like a game of chess, always trying to figure out what the fraudsters will do next. What other tactics are there?
Rate monitoring is another important tool. By keeping track of click-through rates and looking for sudden spikes or weird patterns, businesses can spot potential click fraud. For example, if an ad normally gets a few clicks per hour, but then suddenly gets hundreds in a short time, that's a big red flag.
Like a digital alarm bell going off to tell you something's wrong? Are there any other methods being used?
You know those prove your human tests called CAPTCHAs, where you have to solve puzzles or identify images?
Yeah.
They're becoming more common as a way to stop bots from clicking on ads.
Oh, yeah, I've seen those. Sometimes they're hard even for me.
Exactly. That's the whole point. CAPTCHA tests are made to be hard for bots because they don't have the brains to figure them out. It's a simple but effective way to get rid of bot traffic.
So we've got these advanced algorithms, IP blocking, rate monitoring, and CAPTCHAs all working together like a shield against click fraud. Sounds pretty strong, but is it enough? Are there any weak spots?
Yeah, it's like building a castle, right? You put up all these walls and defenses, but there's always a chance someone's going to figure out how to get in. What can we do to make sure we're not just easy targets in this whole digital battle?
That's a good way to think about it. And you're right, no system is perfect. The key is to stay alert and keep learning. The fraudsters are always coming with new tricks, so we have to be ready.
So how do we stay ahead of them? It all sounds pretty complicated. Well, knowing what's going on is a good start. The more you understand about how click fraud works, the better you'll be at spotting it and avoiding it. Like, be careful with ads that sound too good to be true or websites that look sketchy. If something feels wrong, go with your gut.
That makes sense. But what about regular people online, people who might not be so tech savvy? How does click fraud affect them?
Click fraud affects everyone online. Even if you're not losing money directly, it makes everyone less trusting of the internet. It makes it harder for businesses to advertise properly, which can mean higher prices for customers, and it makes it easier for other online scams to happen.
So it's not just about protecting our money, it's about protecting the whole internet.
You got it. We all have a part to play in stopping click fraud.
So what can we do, besides being careful about the ads we click?
Reporting anything suspicious is super important. If you see an ad that looks like a scam, report it to the website or app where you saw it. Most big platforms like Google and Facebook have ways to look into those reports.
So we can actually do something. We can help by speaking up.
Exactly. Every report helps make the systems that detect and prevent click fraud better. It's a team effort between the platforms and the people using them.
This has been a really interesting look into the world of click fraud. I had no idea it was so widespread and so complicated.
It's definitely something most people don't know about. But the more we know about it, the better we can protect ourselves online.
So what's the most important thing for our listeners to take away from all this? What's the one thing they should remember?
I'd say it's this: click fraud is a real problem, but we can fight it. By staying informed, being careful, and reporting suspicious stuff, we can all help make the internet a safer and more trustworthy place.
Well said. And with that, I think it's time to wrap up this deep dive. Thank you so much for joining us today and helping us understand this important issue.
It's great being here.
Yeah.
And remember, stay curious, stay skeptical, and stay safe online.
And to all our listeners, thanks for joining us on the deep dive. Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep clicking carefully.